stomping us. Ain't nobody here but us. The chickens try to sleep, and you butt in and hobble, 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 hobble with your chin. Ain't nobody here but us chickens. Ain't nobody here but us.
My mother.
Well, Pat and I are here to talk about the summer of 1959, the real story behind the weddings. Access tonight.
We hadn't even thought about this, but Kathy mentioned chickens, and I thought we should say a couple words. You know, because we hadn't even thought about this. You know, of course, over the years we've sort of forgot about Kathy. But this is the story of the 1959 chicken massacre. The 1959 chicken massacre. It was 1959, damn near 50 years ago. And Kathy and Molly announced to Mom and Dad that they were getting married in the same year. Same summer. July 25th and September 12th. Which, as it turns out,
Was Molly and Mike's birthdays.
which they knew in advance.
Two weddings in Belle Plaine, one summer.
How was Dad going to pay for this? You know, my dad was a big spender, but two weddings in Belle Plaine in 1 year, that was something else. And he says, how are we going to pay for all these weddings? Well, the next series, the freezer.
My mother and Fran Melcher sat my dad down and convinced him that if he would buy a chest deep freezer, that they could buy the chickens off of the farm and the deep chest freezer would pay for itself. So somehow they talked him into this, thank heavens, and he bought this deep chest freezer and moved it into the back porch of 501 West Main Street, Belle Plaine, Minnesota, 56011. That's right, you're right. Right. And the freezer was so big and so deep that I was 4. I could not reach down into it to steal cookies quite yet.
And Mother said that was a good thing. So this is where Jane and I came in. Dad would be out on the lookout for fresh hens in the country when he was out on his insurance sales calls. And he would bring home, sometimes he'd bring home 6 chickens, sometimes he'd bring home 10, sometimes 12, but they all added up, didn't they, Lee? But he'd arrive home with gunny sacks of live chickens tied up in a, not tied up. Yeah, and all kind of waiting for us. Have you ever reached down into a gunny sack of live chickens? Let me tell you, it's a scary thing. You reach down there, they're pecking at your hands, they're quiet, because they know what's coming. Here we call them, and when I get shh, quiet. Here it is. So, we had sort of a fenced backyard then. Do you remember that, Bob? It was sort of like 3/4 fenced in behind the horseshoe fence there. Remember that?
The stump in the backyard.
Stump in the backyard there. Yeah. So, where was I here? Not prepared or scripted. So we finally reach in there and we get a chicken out.
Yeah.
We'd reach in there and we'd get a chicken out. I know you weren't around that. We found the stump and, hey! And then the chickens would run around the yard and like, yeah, you guys catch on.
And sometimes there would be 5 or 6 of those headless chickens running around. Dad was so good at this, though. He was an expert. And then Mother would have this big tub of hot boiling water on the stove, and we would run those chickens, still running, so their feet were still, into the kitchen and dip them into the boiling water. And they had to be, blanched, I think was the word. The smell was unbelievable. And this is summer, so we're talking 90 degrees. It stunk. And then the pin feathers had to be burned off on the burner. So on the gas stove.
What stove?
In the house, in the kitchen.
Wasn't that the award-winning 1957 mitten bar stove?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. The dairy recipe championship. Exactly. Oh, those mitten bars were really good, but I got to tell you, they were even better frozen in the deep freeze. And so you'd go in there and you'd steal them, and they tasted really great.
Well, the stench was really bad. And but even to this day, we still can smell it. And still, once in a while, out of your lungs would come, this what would you call it?
What did we have for dinner tonight? What's that? Oh wait, was that from the deep freeze?
Pollo loco.
Pollo loco. I think it wasn't from the 1959 freezer.
And that's why a lot of us are, to this day, vegetarians. We have more.
And after we killed, 150 chickens, something like that, my mother and Fran Melcher cut up and cooked all those chickens and made ice cream pails of chicken salad for the weddings, which at both weddings, right, both Molly's and Kathleen's weddings, were served by Patty Mahoney, who, I don't know, Kismet, in her organdy apron.
And we have to give credit to Patty Mahoney because she gave us a lot of ideas and thoughts, and she claims credit for all the screenwriting here. But where are we here?
Right here.
And I don't know the exact count of the chickens that we over the summer and before the wedding and after the wedding, in between the weddings. There was a number, but somehow Lee remembers the 3,600. It was about 3,600 chickens. We really filled up that freezer.
And after the weddings were over, from that point on, my mother filled that deep freeze with cookies and pies and bars, minting bars. And, oh, by the way, Lee and Kathy tied the knot in July, and Molly and Dick got married in September as planned. And in 1997, when my mother sold the house on West Main Street, that freezer sold for $25 once we knew that the marriages were going to last.
And following that, everyone lived happily ever after until we got to this 50-year anniversary and celebrated this. So, thank you.